Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us this afternoon and taking some time with us for a discussion about the use of data in hotel management. My name is Francisco Martinez, and I'm Key Account Director at Hoist. And today we have with us as well Luigi Cardillo, who's Customer Success Manager for Hoist Italy. Hello, Luigi. And Danny Rees, who's Customer Success Manager. There you are, Luigi.
Hello.
And Danny Rees, who's Customer Success Manager as well in Hoist Ireland. Now, we're all part of the Hoist team that works in the development of data products and services. And today we're going to be discussing the relevance of data tools for hotel management and their future evolution. We want to make this an interactive session, so please feel free to post any questions in the Q&A. Please use the Q&A instead of the chat, because otherwise it's more difficult for us to track all the questions everywhere. And we will be addressing them at maybe at set intervals during the presentation. If not, we'll take them right at the end of the presentation. Also, if you happen to want any more in-depth discussion on any of the topics we will be sharing with you today, feel free to contact us through the general marketing email that was posted in the intro that we will share again at the end of the session. And we will make sure we get back to you at the time of your convenience. Now, I would like to start today by sharing a bit how Hoist got into the data management space. And for that, I'm going to share with you, if I may, let me see, let me know when you see my screen. Is it visible?
See it there, Francisco?
Okay, perfect. So Hoist is a provider of several technologies to hotels. We are a leading provider in Europe of internet access, of TV systems, door locks, and fundamentally PMSs, as well as booking engines, gift card solutions, and many other applications as well. So initially, what came to us as a request from many of our guests is that they would like to start to have some control over the data that was produced by these services. And in initial step, when we started 2 years ago, most of that data that was requested were operational data. So our customers wanted to actually understand whether the services were up, whether the quality was good, how many customers were using it, what was the situation of the network, or how many CCTV cameras are in operation, or do I have any out of order? Is my ISP line working correctly? How is my network performing? As you can see, fairly operational questions, interesting mostly for the operations director or the IT manager in the hotel. But quickly, when we started posting this information, you have a snippet of some of the elements that we provide here. Our customers came back to us and said, well, we think it's very interesting for us to also understand what our customers are doing in those services. So as a second step, we started developing tools, and you have also a preview here of some of these tools that would enable hotels to understand what content were the guests using, what TV or radio channels, what casting applications, what pages in the mobile application, or how they were navigating in the internet service, and elements that would understand how the customers were using and consuming those services, what languages, how much time, for how long, with which frequency. And as well, we started integrating into that space as well a set of tools that we realized were very important at the time, and they continue to be very important today, related to the management of online reviews. And we'll be speaking a bit more and maybe showcasing some of these tools later, so you get a view. But in parallel with all this, we also realized it was very important to actually provides a space to use all the data that was coming from the PMS. Basically, performance KPIs such as ADR, occupancy, RevPAR, TRevPAR, etc., sources of revenue, bookings, and so on. And for that purpose, we created an additional space. And then furthermore, we also created space where our guests could analyze on the books information. Sorry, our guests, no, our hotel customers could analyze on the books information, which is very important to actually understand the pickup and pace and the flow of bookings in order to manage and optimize the performance. Now, this is the overall setting, how we got there. We actually added two more elements to this space. One was that many hotels obviously lacked the possibility of using these tools to analyze and to perform some specific elements of analysis into the data, but they also wanted to get their hands on the data for some purposes. So we also embedded a reporting section that actually provided dozens of predefined report templates in which hotels could actually extract some of this information and even schedule it, so that they would be receiving it on a predefined schedule. And last but not least, this year we realized as well that it would be very important for our hotels to have access to a set of tools that would let them analyze and even forecast how the COVID situation could be affecting their performance in the different countries based on the evolution of COVID indicators. And we developed a specific space for this as well. Now, I'm not going to go into all these details. It would take a lot of time, but we will perform a couple of demos during the session. Now, I'm going to go now. Sorry. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And once that introduction is being shared, I would like to start the discussion by looking at some of these data sets. And probably the best place to start is, and the most important for hotel managers, is the performance KPIs, RevPAR, occupancy, ADR, and the related ones. So, Luigi, how do you see the benefit of having these data in a flexible space for analysis, such as the dashboard?
Well, Francisco, since there are some defined patterns for analyzing all those information, and one of the things that I find more interesting in the dashboard is the ability to play with a flexible calendar section, so you can actually select a long range or a short range if you need to do a weekly analysis. The cool part of it is that we don't manually run different reports and then compare the data in it. The data are shown directly in the widget as soon as we select the data range. Another feature that I personally think is relevant is the ability to evaluate the different revenue sources and I see if their flow pattern is correct or there are some missing important opportunities. Usually the data from those sources is available in different platforms, but it's not easy to collect them and compare them. But here in the dashboard, we have all of them in one place in dedicated widgets. So Danny, would you like to explain us how to use it?
Yeah, sure, I'd be delighted to, Luigi. Just give me one moment and I will share my screen. So if you can let me know if you can see that okay.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, fantastic. So as Francisco briefly introduced it, this is our dashboard. So some of the key widgets that we would use in the examples that Luigi gave is, for example, let's just say I wanted to analyze my staff costs versus my revenue income for last week and maybe comparatively against last year as well. That's quite easy to do in the dashboard because from here, as Luigi mentioned, flexibility, we have a total revenue widget. So it's feeding data straight from the property management system. In here, we have a custom date selection where I can select any date range, be it historical or forecast, or I can go with some predetermined date selections as well. For example, the last 7 days, the last 14 days, or whichever way I wish. So if I have my custom date range selection here, the system is retrieving the data and it's going to give me some KPIs. So from here, using the example that I was having my staff costs, I can see overall what my total revenue was in the hotel for the defined period. And I can see, for example, it was 19,660 euro. So I can see that that's the value for this year. If I take a look and I see it last year's figure, we can see that it's 33,000. So we can see straight away that I am down on last year. I can see that my year-over-year comparison, it's straight away giving me a percentage differential on how I'm doing comparatively against last year. So straight away, this is saving me from having to run 2 different reports from my property management system. It's all there ready to go in the dashboard for me. It also gives you a departmental breakdown based on your categories from your property management system. So for example, here I can see my food, my accommodation, my wine, my beverage, and so on and so forth. So I can start to do a little bit of a departmental analysis as well. If you wanted to see that on a more granular detail, you can also see a daily breakdown of each of the categories and the revenue per day as well. If we move over to more of the rooms aspect side of things, if I want to see how my business was performing, again, if we look at last week, maybe versus the previous year, we can see that our average daily rate, our revenue per available room, our total revenue per every customer, so it's almost like a guest spend, and our total revenue per available room as well. Again, you have the flexibility of selecting your date ranges. And here as well, you can hover over any of the specific date ranges and you can see your year-over-year values. One of the key benefits as to how the dashboard does these calculations is it does it the way that we as hoteliers want to see it. We want to see day versus day. So if, for example, I want to look at a Friday this year versus a Friday last year. That's the way the system's comparing it. Don't have to run 2 different reports. You don't have to do the calculations yourself. The system's going to do it for you. If you need to extract any of this data, you can easily actually drill down into our widgets. And from here, you can export the data into PowerPoint, PDF, or Excel. So it's very easy to manipulate and get it out of the system to do the cross analysis that you need to do. Now, one of the things that's going to be crucial in the market recovery is going to be competitive analysis and benchmarking against your competitive set. So from here, I'm just going to change screens, Francisco, if you can let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect.
Fantastic. Sometimes things don't always go right, so I always have to check. So from here, what you can see is you can see that we have a competition mode that we're going to be introducing into the dashboard. So it's very much in development at the moment, but we're giving you a sneak peek. From here, what you're going to be able to do is benchmark your hotel and its category against a selected defined range of categories of hotels. So for example, be it that I want to compare my hotel, which is a 5-star or large-scale luxury property, and I want to compare it against another set of large-scale luxury properties within Ireland. So I'll be able to do that within this tool. I'll be able to compare things like my average daily rate for historical and forecast business on the books. I'll be able to compare my revenue per available room, or my RevPAR, and I'll also be able to compare my hotel's occupancy as well. So it's going to give you a crucial insight as to not only how your hotel is doing, but how it's going to be doing against a competitive set within your own country as well. Some of the key features of this is going to be, you're going to be able to see your this year's value, your last year's value, as well as your competitors' last year's value as well. And it'll give you a percentage differential of how you're doing against them. So some key things that are going to be coming into the dashboard shortly. Francisco, back over to yourself.
Well, thanks, Dan. That was particularly good. And this is certainly an enhancement that some of our customers have been eagerly waiting for, and it will become a game changer for the dashboard. Now, one of the things we wanted to share today is some of the aspects where we think this space of analysis in the hotel management will be evolving over time. So one of the areas where we think this type of analysis will be evolving will be certainly areas like analyzing within certain market segments. So for example, if now I can analyze the way you just have seen ADR or occupancy What about if I can start looking at my ADR by leisure, business, or groups, or by German or English feeder markets, or by other market categories or segments that may be defined in my system, also by source channels? What about looking at occupancy and even at RevPAR results within that framework? We think that this is probably the way that this type of analysis will be evolving, but we certainly would be very interested in listening to your questions and to your opinions on this particular matter. We leave that for discussion at the end of this webinar. Let us now move into another example. Now, one of the data sets that is extremely important for the hoteliers today is information about online reviews and reputation. And normally hotels have these in a separate platform for the sole purpose of reputation management. Now, we're all familiar with this process of daily reading and answering online reviews, as well as tracking review scores and overall performance scores in the different platforms. What do you think about all this information data analysis, Danny?
Francisco, I think, as you mentioned, I think it is a very well-established process amongst many hotels, particularly, I would say in mostly the 4- and 5-star range. They have very standardized procedures, especially on handling this reputation data. I think they may be regularly using some sort of tool to control the overall reputation scores, to, answer the reviews and all of this, but where they're kind of possibly lacking, a little bit of insight is you're logging into one tool, you're taking a look at the reviews, and then you're going to be taking a look at reporting and seeing how this is affecting you. So you're kind of looking at the information in 2 different places. Whereas one of the benefits of having this integration into a single platform is that you can not only track your reputation, but you can also look at the underlying operational issues and compare them and track how they're being fixed, and kind of gives you a full overview and insight and control over the process within one simple platform. So again, can't stress it enough, it's efficiency. It's fantastic. I think, Luigi, you're possibly going to be able to provide an example of how this can look for everybody in the dashboard.
Yep, thanks, Danny. Let me share my screen and show what the dashboard can do about this. Tell me when you see it.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Can see it.
Okay. So here in the dashboard, we have 3 widgets dedicated to the review analysis. Let's make an example. I am the general manager of the hotel, and I want to understand how the reviews of my hotel and our services are going. So what can I do from the dashboard? Here, as I said, we have 3 widgets. The first one is the sentiment analysis widget. Here, in the first view, we can already see from where the reviews come from, because we have the segmentation of the sources, we have the segmentation of the languages as well, and we have the number of reviews, and if they are positive, neutral, or negative. Then we have the review widget, where we have here in the simplified view the number of reviews, and then I will show you later on in the drill down view the reviews themselves. And here again, we have the last one, the review performance widget, where we have the reviews segmented by sources again, and we have the rating in them. And we will see the detail in the drill down view again. So in order to make a good example, I will show you the live data from one of our customer. And I made some screenshot, but I, of course, cancel the name of the hotel to preserve their privacy. Here, as you can see, we have a lot of data, and we have a lot of sources as well, but not in all of them we have 100% of satisfaction of our guests. And since I am the GM and I don't have too much time to look into all the portals of all the sources of information, here I have a really quick view of an understanding of what's going on. So I can focus directly in those platforms where I can see that there is something not working well. Here we have also the sentiment analysis per languages. So again, I can see that some people coming from other countries are not satisfied on 100% of our services. So let me see what I can do. In the review widget, as I said before, we can go directly to see the reviews. So by clicking here and going into the drill down mode, let me show you first the drill down mode of the sentiment analysis. As soon as we have this information, we can go in the drill down mode and we have the graphical view of the sentiment evolution in the time frame that we selected, like Danny showed before, because we can select from the calendar the date range. And here at the bottom part, we have the table with the details of the sentiment divided by category. Here we have 11 categories, so we have a lot of segmentation where we can see the details of each category. Let's make an example. We have an internet bad reviews somewhere here, so we can directly from dashboard, without leaving it and going in another platform, check what's going on, eventually involve our IT manager and get the problem fixed quite fast. So let's go back and check the review widget now. Here we have, as it's written, the reviews. The reviews here, again, I had to cover for the privacy, but we can filter them by sentiment, languages, and sources. So as I said before, if we found a bad review or a bad score from a specific source in a specific date, we can do a filter here, pinpoint the review itself. And if we want to directly reply on it, we just need to click here in the link. It will bring us, in this example, on the Twitter page of our account, so where we can directly search for the bad rating and reply to it. Then on the last widget, the review performance widget, let's go and check what we can see in the drill down function. Here we have the reputation review performance widget, and we can see the segmentation of all the sources of information, so where we get the reviews from our guest. In many of them, the guest can, of course, write down the review and then put a rating directly. In some of them, they cannot. But anyway, we can see the sentiment of most of the platform. The sentiment, let's remember, is not exactly expressed by rating, but is analyzed by an algorithm of the platform who check the words used in the sentences and then convert it into data, so we can express here in a table like a sentiment. Then we have the number of reviews in the selected period, and we have the reviews of all the time, which show us the reviews that were made since the hotel was present in that platform. And I think for a GM or for anybody in the hotel, this kind of dashboard is really, really useful, because we don't have to jump around by different platforms or tools to check all this data or reports. We have everything here in one click. So go back to you, Francisco.
Thank you, Luigi. That was excellent. And one of the areas where we think customers are going to be waiting for improvements here is, again, we're going to be incorporating a tool that will let you analyze the reputation data from your 5 key competitors. This information can be harvested from the internet, so you will actually see it specifically, not as a market average, but for each and every one of what you design as your 5 competitive set. And that is going to be very important, and it's going to be released somewhere in Q1. Now, where we think this space is going to be evolving, we strongly think that these data will be incorporating enhancements by establishing deeper links between operational and reputation data. For example, by adding information on how different operational management systems in the hotel, such as housekeeping or maintenance or MyC or food and beverage room service, are evolving, and actually being able to connect that data with the reputation categories so that hoteliers can actually track consistently their performance and even implement corrective measures and then track their evolution. As a teaser for that, we're, for example, working on embedding housekeeping information data, and that will be ready sometime in Q2. And we certainly would be interested in hearing your opinion on where this type of analysis will be evolving into over the next years. Now, moving into another topic, I think one of the other areas where we should spend some time today is all the forecasting and on the books analysis that happens in the hotel. Now, a sizable portion of hotels today have started implementing revenue management tools. So in a sense, the old style tracking of all this information and maintaining complex forecasting spreadsheets that consumed hours every week is gradually diminishing. On the other side, these revenue management tools are becoming increasingly dynamic, and they're now posting, often bypassing the approval process and posting price changes so several times per day on an hourly basis or even faster, which somehow takes all that workload from the hotel staff, but at the same time, we believe creates a space where there needs to be tight control. So what we have provided is a space where you can actually start tracking all the on the books information, whether it is for forecasting purposes or for performance, price performance analysis purposes. And I'm going to hand over to Luigi and understand a bit what you think about the evolution of this space moving forward.
Thanks, Francisco. Well, one of the things that I particularly like is the ability to create such a variety of purpose-built looking curves and analyze the occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR impact on the booking data. That makes certainly a powerful tool for analysis. And the other aspect I would, of course, highlight is the ability to slice those information by market segment, a source of market or channels, so that I can really analyze the performance of a specific part of my market in great details at the click of a button. Danny, would you like to show us how we can do that?
Yeah, sure, of course. Give me one moment here again. Share my screen. If you can let me know if you can see that okay.
Yeah, you are.
Fantastic.
Yes, we are.
So as Francisco and Luigi have both mentioned, we've introduced a tool, which is our business analysis revenue management tool. The idea behind the tool is that, as Francisco mentioned, it's quite a complex process, revenue management. There's reports and Excel spreadsheets and meetings upon meetings upon meetings to try and get a decision. So the idea is that we've decided to introduce the tool into the dashboard to hopefully make that a little bit easier for our hoteliers. And to look at information like, for example, if I want to take a look at my business on the books, what's happening in my property for the next few months and what's happening, compared to last year. So for example, here we can see my booked room nights and I can see the information. So I can see my total room nights grouped by months, and I can see a month versus month comparison. I can look at that information for confirmed, provisional, and even waitlist bookings, so I can get the diversity and the breakdown of what's coming into the property. As well as that, you can look at it as on a weekly basis or on a daily basis as well, if you want to drill down into that granularity to see, okay, is it my second weekend in December? Is that particularly busy? What's happening? Is there an event going on? Something like that. Usually to get this level of information, you'll have to run a report 2, 3, maybe 4 times from your property management system. Here you can see I've got my date range and it's 3 simple clicks. We can also see what our average daily rate is achieved of those bookings. So for example, I can see that my average daily rate and my year over year to see if I'm achieving what I need to as per my budgets and my preset KPIs. Also, you're able to take a look and kind of get an understanding of what's happening on the market. So, for example, if I'm lucky enough to have a weekend off and I want to come into the hotel on Monday and I want to see what happened over the weekend or what happened last week, what way is happening with my bookings, is there a pickup? We can program into the system and you can select a created date range. So I can take a look at all my bookings created last week, for example. And here then what it will display is it'll show me the spread of all those bookings and when they're coming in. So I can see if there's a particular demand maybe for March. Is the market starting to make a bit of a recovery for March? Do I need to start looking at my pricing for March? Have I left it there sitting there gathering dust for a while and I need to go, oh, okay, we're starting to get bookings in, I need to do a review of that. All that information is easily adaptable and viewed inside in this tool. As well as Luigi also mentioned, is that you want to get a little bit more detail as well on the markets. That's going to be very important. So we have filters here where you can go down, for example, and you can view to say, I want to look at my leisure market. So again, the results will display as per only my leisure market. And this is all data feeding straight from your property management system. I can look at it from my bookings coming in from email, for example, or I can focus down to a specific room type or specific nationality. So I understand the demographic of the bookings that are coming into my property as well. Is my marketing to the UK working quite well? Is it working quite well for Germany? What's happening within the property? It's all about that granular detail that the system can give you. As well as that, we've also introduced a pickup curve. So it kind of works in the opposite. It's if I want to understand, okay, let me take a look at my bookings this week. And I want to see that my bookings that are coming to stay in the hotel this week. When did they all book? Did they book maybe 7 days ago, 14 days ago, 30 days ago, or how far away was it? What's the trend of those bookings? This is going to give you a valuable insight of when you need to be making decisions. Do I need to change my rates 30 days out? Or do we need to work in a much closer window? Within 2 weeks of any arrival date, I need to make sure I'm looking at that pricing. Because here, what you can see is you can see the demand and you can see the increase in demand and bookings. But what you will see is teamed up with our average daily rate forecast table is you'll see the rate achieved for those bookings. So what we would hope to expect to see here is possibly, based on demand, we'll see the bookings that are the rate will maybe be a little bit lower, and then we'll see it start to increase as we reach D-Day. So then we've achieved what we want to. We've increased our rate based on demand. It's all a fine line though, but it's all there available for you in the tool to understand. We've also introduced a pickup forecast table, sometimes for those people that really like to work on numbers and just not on the graphs. What this will show you is, for example, is it'll give you how many rooms were sold this year, or for your defined period, how many rooms were sold at the same point of time last year, and how many rooms were sold overall last year. I'm looking at historical dates partially, so that's why mine is coming up there, that it's the same figures. But what it will show you here in the balance is it will show you how many rooms you need to achieve to be better than last year. Lucky enough in my system, I'm already better than last year, so I don't have to do anything, which is great. But if that happened to be lower, it will tell me that I needed, for example, 100 room nights, 50 room nights, or however many I needed to achieve to be better or on par with last year. So there's some key data here to give you an understanding of booking trend analysis and insights on how to price and change your pricing strategies accordingly. So I think back to yourself, Francisco.
Thank you, Danny. That was very interesting. As Danny explained, one of the fundamental enhancements that you will be seeing in this space will be the ability to benchmark on the book's information against your reference market, or so that you can understand, for example, how your destination bookings flow and benchmark your hotel performance against your category and city or country. And we're all looking forward for this major enhancement that will be happening in the coming weeks. Another aspect that we're also looking at and where we think this information space will evolve is by adding their pricing information from your competitors. Most hotels already somehow purchase in the market that information. What we're looking at is not only providing the info, but embedding it into the analysis so you can actually use that data to try to understand how it is affecting your performance and how well your pricing strategies are working towards your competitors. Now, obviously, we would like to also hear your opinion on where this space may be evolving over time, and what do you think is critical for this aspect in the hotel. Now, without adding any more, I would like now to open the floor to the rest of the participants in the webinar and check what questions have been launched by our audience, and basically provide you with some answers. So let's take a look. So one of the questions we have here is your dashboard compatible with any vendor product data? Now, the answer to this is the following. For all Hoist products, the dashboard functionality comes out of the box. So basically, it doesn't require any particular activity from the hotelier. It is used already provisioned as we install the products. Now, for any data that is coming from the internet, for example, online reviews or pricing information, that is as well provided out of the box. We just have to obviously parameterize it when you get the dashboard. Now, for any other elements, and particularly for the PMS, we are working into integrating different sets of products into the framework. So for example, we will be launching over Q2 compatibility with Opera. And this will mean that hotels with Opera will be able to use this tool in the same way that those that have Hoist Hotsoft PMS. For the rest of the products, there is a marketplace space in the dashboard where you can actually check whether a specific product or specific category is actually compatible, whether it's already an interface or whether someone could be developed in order to integrate that data into the market space. Okay, I have another question here. What is the price of the dashboard? Well, the price of the dashboard, we sell this product as a bundle. It comes with all the functionality you've just seen. And the price is of €200 per month per hotel. It provides access to all staff functions in the hotel. So it's provided with a configurable set of users for which you can categorize specific rights to specific sections of the dashboard or full access. And it is all together packaged into a single price of €200 per month. Now, there are some discounts and promotions ongoing, and these may vary per country or by the time of request. And for that, we recommend that you get in contact with Hoist sales or with us through Hoist marketing in order to prospect any further sales discussions. Now let us look if there are any other questions. So I don't see any more questions. Yes. What functionalities do I get in the basic package? So everything that you have seen has access to all the elements, guest, operations or service, and business information, together with the reporting tools, the COVID space, the business analysis, and basically all the elements that we have showcased today. Everything, all the full functionality comes in the basic package. There are no advanced or premium subscriptions. Everything is packaged into the single basic subscription. I hope that answers the question. Otherwise, just let me know. Gonna give a few more seconds to see if we get any more questions or any more elements. If anyone wants to share as well opinions or views, or to open some parts of the debate that we have been discussing today, we're more than welcome to maybe go in deeper into some aspects. Okay, I think I'm not getting any more questions. So far we are going to leave it here. Again, thank you very much. I hope it was useful for you. If you have any further questions, we'll be posting again our email at the end. So you can actually contact us through the marketing email and we'll get back to you with any answers that you request. Again, thank you very much for your attendance today. I hope it was a very useful session and have a very nice afternoon.